in Ohio State's case, Perloff, I'm looking at Kyle McCord, who won the job and has been in the program and is dependable. And if Devin Brown is going to be right there, well, then if anything happens to McCord, you've got an obvious backup who can go in and win you games. Why I like Ohio State and where I think Georgia and even Michigan may fall into a little bit of a trap here is at least they play people. You know, Michigan doesn't play anybody until Ohio State. Georgia doesn't play anybody at all until the SEC championship game, I guess. At least for Ohio State, they have to play Notre Dame, they have to play Penn State, Wisconsin, and then Michigan.
Yeah, I hear you. That's a good theory, except that it seems like an easy schedule is a great way to get into the Final Four. It's kind of worked for Georgia 2 years in a row. Also, Michigan does have Penn State as well.
Sorry, and Penn State for me.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
So both Ohio State and Penn State have Michigan. I'm not as so sold that Georgia's not going to three-peat, but I'll tell you, you have the wrong team. Who's going to knock them off?
Well, who is it?
It's not going to be number 2 Michigan because Jim Harbaugh is insane. That's my only theory as to why.
He's standing in their way.
There's too many question marks with Ohio State. 1 being the quarterback, 2 being their defense. Show me, can you keep anybody under 40 points? So I think we are way, way, way too eager to dismiss Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah, speaking of quarterback questions.
Yeah, but okay.
At least Ohio State actually named a starter.
You're right. I should have said quarterback questions because there are so many occasions in the last several years where the week 1 starter did not end up winning the title. We see this in college football all the time. Here is my theory on Alabama.
What's that?
They had the best quarterback in the country the last 2 years, Bryce Young. They didn't win anything. They got so far away from their identity under Nick Saban. They were this fancy pants, spread the field, throw for 1,000,000 yards, hope that their quarterback saves the day. That's not Nick Saban football. That's not in his DNA. That's not what he did at Michigan State and LSU. He wants to run the football and play defense. That is Nick Saban football. And they got the wrong offensive coordinator out. Bill O'Brien, he might be an improvement for the Patriots.
Yeah.
He was not working for Alabama. He did not know how to call a winning game. Now, Tommy Rees is a little bit of an unproven guy. But Alabama,
total unknown for Alabama.
For Alabama, yeah. And he wasn't exactly lighting up the sky for Notre Dame. But I think Nick Saban wants him to be conservative. And then they're going to win with that really awesome offensive line. Their defense is, like always, loaded with studs. And here's the thing about them last year. They lost 2 games, but I think they were both on the road. So they have all their key games at home this year. Really tough one, week 2. Texas, but it's in Tuscaloosa. They have Tennessee, who gave them so much trouble last year, in Tuscaloosa. LSU, in Tuscaloosa. So I'm hoping, for the sake of this argument, that the home field reverses what happened last year, and they were so darn close. So I don't see more than 1 loss heading into the SEC title game. It might be Texas in week 2. I'm not ruling that out at all. I really like Texas. But I think with this schedule, they can get out with 1 loss. They get to the SEC title game, even with 2 losses, I think Alabama could possibly get the nod over a 1-loss team. So they have a great path to the Final Four. Then that's when vengeance kicks in. They're tired of getting beat up by Georgia, and I think they have a great chance right there. I also like Ohio State and Michigan. Obviously, they're stacked. But for some reason, I feel like that Michigan and Ohio State, when it gets to a playoff, are just not going to be as tough as the SEC teams.
Listen, I know the Big Ten has been like 1-7, I think, in the college football playoffs since Ohio State won it. But here's the thing. I'm looking at Alabama, and I'm not writing any eulogies for Alabama. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I just read this stat, and I wanted to bring it to your attention.
Please.
The last 2 seasons, Alabama has had 11 games where they either lost or won by only a touchdown. Like 1 score or less, okay? A touchdown or less or outright loss. 2 seasons, 11 games. In the previous 5 seasons before that, they had 11 of those games total.
Yeah, it's time to get back to that.
It's different. But
time to get back to that.
You want to get back to that. I don't know if there is any coming back from that in terms of playing a different style. Like in the SEC, maybe, but look at what's happened, Perloff. It is a scoring league, you know? And even Georgia, who's had this amazing defense, who sent guys to the NFL in droves, still gave up 41 points to Ohio State last year. Like, these offenses are just not going to be stopped.
Well, that's why, what's the best way to stop them? Hold on to the ball. Maybe have a quarterback, if Jalen Milroe gets a job, who's going to run for the first down every time on 3rd down.
Yeah.
Start that's the best chance you have in this conference to slow down the other offense is to run the ball. The most effective defensive tool is a run game. Always has been. It works in the NFL. It works even more so for college. I'm sorry. First of all, the receivers have not stepped up in Alabama. We were so used to having 3 first-rounders in that receiver room. That is not the case anymore. So I think they're going to be a contrarian team, and I think it's going to be really interesting. Because how do you stop Tennessee? You're not going to stop Tennessee's offense. You have to slow down the game. LSU is pretty explosive this year, too. How are they going to stop them? Texas could be just loaded on offense.
LSU has dudes on defense, too.
They definitely have to ball control. Yeah, they have Harold Perkins. You're not going to want to drop back and pass against that guy. You're going to want to run and control the game.
Well,
and also Alabama probably, except for Georgia, will have an advantage on the lines.
I'm glad that you mentioned being able to run the ball because Ohio State can do that, too. Because they do have Travion Henderson. They've got Mayan Williams. You know what you're getting with these guys. And then if you do want an explosive wide receiver, well, Marvin Harrison Jr. is likely going to be a top 5 pick next year. So
you might have 2 top 5 picks.
Yeah. Amika Egbuka, you are in my head on this one. I know.
Yeah, but you might, and by the way,
to him because we butcher his name every time.
You also brought in the 2 top recruits who were also first-round picks. The guy who tortured Bishop Sycamore in that documentary, Carnell Tate, is coming to Ohio State. He's ridiculous. But who's throwing to these guys, Maggie? You might have the best receiving core, running back core in the league, in the nation.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that enough when you cannot ever stop anybody on defense? Anyone. They give up more explosive plays than any team in the country almost.
Okay, you've got Tommy Eichenberg coming back. You've got Steele Chambers. I know you guys were losing it yesterday over a guy named Steele. Someone else. You got great linebackers. So I'm going to have to say, and if Ohio State having a good defensive line, of course they are. So I'm feeling good.
No, they're not. Look at the numbers on them last year.
I know. Knowles did not have a good season as a defensive coordinator. Yeah. Got to learn a lot of lessons here. So I think Ohio State is a team that will keep Georgia from a three-peat. Perloff says it's Alabama. What do you say? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.
How are they going to get past Michigan this year? This is the best Michigan team ever. They have their quarterback coming back. There are 2 running backs who were better than the Ohio State running backs. They go 20 deep in draftable players, and they've beaten a really, really good Ohio State team.
Then why aren't you picking Michigan?
Well, because
you already said honestly, because Jim Harbaugh is nuts. I don't think it's because he's nuts. I just think there's so much pressure on them right now.
There's something exactly. I think there's something just a little bit off. The way Jim Harbaugh was talking about his suspension the other day. That's a great pressure or intensity. I'm not sure they can keep this up under Jim Harbaugh. I don't see it happening in my mind's eye. Seeing them beat 2 SEC teams in the Final Four, can't see it.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, so who did we forget? Who did we pick instead? Or are we right on?
Did you think about USC here?
I did not.
Yeah.
As much as I do love watching Caleb Williams play, and I hope he doesn't go to like a disaster of an NFL team that like potentially ruins him, because I want to keep watching him play for a long time. But I just think the defense, just can't trust him.
Yeah, and the other one, by the way, I did give a little flirtation. I looked at LSU.
Yeah, so did I.
I just think that this is based on nothing, but Brian Kelly might need more time to build a real legit champion. 2 years in, does he really have the team he wants? That's a tall order.
He overachieved last year.
Yes and no. I mean,
oh my gosh, they made it to the SEC championship game. He definitely did.
Yeah, he's a really, really good coach. But are they, are you talking about a talent level that's right there with Alabama and Georgia? I'm not sure yet.
Well, I hope so, because I chose Jaden Daniels as the number 1 pick in my SEC quarterback draft that we had.
Love it.
And I'm looking forward to big things.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I want to win that league.
Why did both you and I pick Alabama quarterbacks?
Well, because we're morons. That's why.
Yeah, I love it that you're like, I should have taken that Vandy quarterback. Can't remember his name, but I should have taken him.
Yeah, big regret. 855-212-4CBS, yes.
I'm so mad that Stu got Carson Beck, too.
Well, I mean, he picked before you.
No, I picked first. I picked Joe Milton. I was going to get Carson Beck. That's my 2 Heisman finalists. I love both those guys, the Tennessee quarterback and the Georgia quarterback. So I don't even. My number 2 pick is like a third string on Alabama now.
Listen, it's you got to take a risk sometime in life. 855-212-4CBS. Yes, we did a SEC quarterback draft before this about a month ago, and we'll be updating those on Mondays here on the Maggie and Perloff show.
Yeah. Do you remember? Mike, you got to pull out the team. I have no idea who my 4 quarterbacks are.
No, I have a photo of it. I took a photo on my phone. We'll update everybody on the other side.
Yeah, let me know. Update me.
I thought this was the team that you're like ride or dying with. No?
Well, I know I have Joe Milton, and I don't even really need 3 other quarterbacks.
I got it right here if you want it now.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so Maggie, you've got Jaden Daniels, Connor Wegman, Spencer Rattler, and Ty Simpson.
Oh, that's good.
And when we asked people who had the best team, a lot leaned towards Maggie as the best.
Well, I thought that's when Simpson really had a shot to win the job. I don't know now.
Yeah. Perloff, you have Joe Milton, Will Rogers, Jackson Dart, and Tyler Buckner.
Will Rogers is awesome.
Yeah. And Joe Milton's going to be fantastic.
Joe Milton's fantastic.
Yeah. I got KJ Jefferson, Spencer Sanders, Jalen Milroe, which we still have no real idea what's going to happen there, and Brady Cook.
And what about Stu?
Stu is Devin Leary, Carson Beck, Peyton Thorne, and Graham Mertz. Lots of backup quarterbacks and unknowns here.
Stu's somewhere over the Grand Canyon right now. Is he on a mule or something going down to the Grand Canyon?
No, he did that skywalk. He said it was a very long wait, but he got to. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it. It's like a big little semicircle that juts out over the Grand Canyon, and you can look all the way down. And they have like a glass floor, so you can actually look straight down. Which no, thank you.
Yeah. I hate that stuff. Wait, how did I end up picking Jackson Dart? What happened?
Instagrammer's dream.
What was
Jackson Dart was the 11th overall pick, right after I selected Jalen Milroe.
Then who is after him? Because I don't like this.
Peyton Thorne, Graham Mertz, Tyler Buckner, Brady Cook, and Ty Simpson.
Okay, so there's a lot of like question marks back. Did anyone take Spencer Sanders?
That's me.
Oh, okay.
I took Spencer Sanders 7.
Oh, man. Oh, so you took him 7? Okay. Because they haven't named
What are you, like, trying to concoct some kind of trade or something? I mean, what are you, like,
Dart and Sanders are still competing at Ole Miss. I read this the other day. So I feel like we should be able to redraft if we didn't get a starter.
No, definitely not.
Well,
we knew this at the time when we all took Alabama.
You might have a bench guy. You have incentive here to get into a redraft situation.
Well, what do you mean she might have a bench guy? Ty Simpson is probably most likely a bench guy.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's a decision I made in the moment, and I got to live with it now. It's called consequences.
Yeah, I mean, who was the last couple picks? I mean, those guys aren't doing anything.
Perloff, you might actually have 2 bench guys between Jackson Dart and Tyler Buckner.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're screwed.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. The question is, who's going to keep Georgia from three-peating? I say Ohio State. Perloff says Alabama. What about you?